All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead Season 6. This is for episode 9 now. It is called Things Left to Do. Oh man, freaking awesome episode for Fear the Walking Dead, guys. This one will contain spoilers. You gotta watch this episode if you haven't seen it yet. This one's a really good one. So this one is basically what was supposed to be our mid-season premiere for Fear the Walking Dead Season 6's second half. And if you guys missed last week's episode, The Door, yes, it premiered early and whatnot, that whole thing with The Walking Dead's bonus episode finale with Here's Negan and everything. So Here's Negan got a lot of the attention. The Door did not get as much attention, but definitely after this episode, I feel like, oh man, you gotta watch Fear. This is amazing, man. This is seriously one of the best episodes of the whole series of Fear. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Things left to do. So in this one, we get what is sort of the epic kind of conclusion for what's been happening with Virginia, Lawton, and Dakota coming after John, and June, and just all these different things coming to fruition in what feels like a fantastic ensemble episode where you have Virginia at the forefront. You have Morgan, as you might expect, at the forefront. We even get to see Alicia in this one. And then June comes in, big time. Like I said, spoiler warning, hell hath no fury like woman scorn, that's for sure. I thought it was so fitting, man. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. It was so fitting because it's sort of like, okay, all right, I guess let's recap from the beginning and we'll get to it. So we get the brutal kind of recap, brutal intro of John being shot by Dakota and kind of like lightly pushed into the water, which is hard to watch now that I know what I'm seeing, and I'm sure for you guys too, you feel the same way. We did a video this week giving our thoughts that Garrett Dillahunt, who played John, did want to leave back in Season 5, so quite a while ago, and this is what they worked out for him as a storyline. I thought it worked out great in terms of how everything kind of unfolded here in this one. Some kind of twists and turns, and we have Dakota in this one again. We have June starting off the episode in this sort of being, I want to say, like, is it a June episode? Not really. Like, at the end, when you see the final scene, you think, okay, it's kind of like a June episode, but not really, because there's so many others. Morgan's at the forefront, all the others. It's kind of unexpected for her to come in at the end and steal the episode. But you have her burying, so we start off with June, and she's digging up a grave for John, after obviously him being shot by Dakota, and then her having to put him down as a walker. So we have kind of a reminder that June had saved Virginia before. Now, this is going back a little bit. For some reason, I'm having trouble kind of remembering some of these things happening, even though it was just like in the first half, so I should remember it. But just everything that's been going on, in the world and everything, it's been, I kind of forget. But, okay, so June had saved Virginia before, and she doesn't know why she did it, and so, but she wants to know what happened with John, Dakota, how this whole thing went, what the deal was. And, obviously because her husband is dead. Then we get the intro, and I love the stylized intros. It's like each one has like a character forefront for the intro, so it sort of gives you an idea of who's kind of the spotlight character, or maybe the star of each episode. So John's was for episode 8, The Door, and for this one we get to see Virginia as the her kind of gimmick that she does, where she kind of orders everybody to fire and whatnot. And it does have sort of some kind of a, and it has for a little while a Western type of feel. But I feel like in this one they do this smaller lineup, which reminds you sort of the Negan lineup from the original Walking Dead TV series that was so iconic. And this one was pretty iconic too, only that it was pretty fast-paced. It wasn't as like slow. There wasn't as much of a build-up to it. But it still felt like it had very high stakes. And it was a very cool scene to see Virginia sort of get them line up the survivors that she had as part of Morgan's group that were there. So she gets Daniel, she gets like June's there too, Sarah, Luciana, and then you have Grace, which is like the biggest one because it's a 2-for-1 deal because she's pregnant as hell. So you get a 2-for-1 deal in the, it's like, Maggie and whatnot, and Glenn freaking out. You just remember, it brings you back, right? So you got a kind of a lineup here, but unlike the Negan lineup where no one's coming to save him, in this one, it's kind of revealed that Morgan is within earshot. So he kind of comes in on horseback to kind of save the day. And then we get a nice sort of who's going to side with whose situation. So the stakes are high. We don't know which way the crowd is going to turn here. You have a bunch of different rangers or Western-style pioneers with guns and everything. Some of them seem to be loyal to Strand. So then you have Strand turning at this moment on Virginia while you have the lineup. And then you have Grace that's being used by Virginia to hold a gun to her. Again, because both 2-for-1, right, with that. And it's like, oh, no, kill the pregnant lady. No. It's like, Daniel, okay, I killed Daniel. Well, I like Daniel too. Don't kill Daniel, but, kill Daniel over kill the pregnant lady, right? So, all this craziness going on in an amazing scene that I thought was one of the best of the whole series for Fear. And very exciting. You get a gunfight ensuing. I love to see what they did with Strand in this one because I've been kind of mad at Strand lately because he's sort of like, he seemingly was Praetorian, that's not a word, Virginia. So he was protecting. So what that means is he's like honor guard. He's protecting Virginia. He's such a sellout. He's got the key on his thing. He's wearing the key, but he turns out to be a turncoat. So he completely redeems himself in that he was just doing all that to really like get her trust. And then at the most opportune moment, he turns on her. So when he is almost told to kill Daniel, and we know about their history going way back since the first season of Fear the Walking Dead. So that's going way back now. They've always had this rivalry between Daniel and Strand. They've always been kind of back and forth. So for her to tell Strand to kill Daniel was kind of like wasn't sure because we all know what Daniel thinks of Strand. He doesn't calls him thinks of him as like a snake, this kind of thing, which he is. But in this case, he's a good snake, right? He's a snake on the side of these survivors in that he turns on Virginia at the best moment, and then you get the whole thing. So surprisingly here in the shuffle, somehow Morgan ends up with Virginia and gets her by axe point or whatever that is, whatever that weapon he's got is called, the executioner's blade, so to speak, and it's got her. And then the people who are loyal to her kind of, what do? They grab Grace. And so you have sort of a tug of war over everybody ensuing throughout the episode in that, you kind of have a stalemate. Virginia, she wants Dakota back, and it's revealed in this episode that she is actually not Dakota's sister, but she is actually her mother, which is where she kind of gave birth to this Antichrist, like a hellspawn child somehow here that ended up killing John and everything else, that we've seen recently. So it's kind of chaotic, right, as you go through the episode because it's like, okay, who's with where now? So Morgan's got Virginia. They go off. Somehow Sherry comes into the mix with the SWAT vehicle and she's trying to get her and everything. And you get the cool scene where Morgan has to beat back Sherry in order to save Virginia from Sherry killing her because everybody wants to kill Virginia. But then Morgan won't let them because Virginia's goons have, who do they have? Grace. They have Grace and somebody else. I don't know. I have to look back. There's a bunch of people everywhere and they won't kill each other because they've each got leverage on each other, right? So there you go. So we end up going all the way through. We go back to the spot that Morgan has been building up that we saw introduced in the premiere episode of this season. Amazing episode where he beats the bounty hunter, which was really cool, and gets Rufus the dog and everything else, the bloodhound. It's very cool. He's got, Morgan's still got the gear on from him and everything. And so we go back there, and turns out that Strand and the others, Sherry's group, are able to figure out that Virginia's there. So they all go there. and they all show up and demand justice against Virginia. Hand her over, right? So then you've got Dakota, who's in chains basically in a cell, and we get the sense that maybe Alicia or somebody's been watching her, making sure she doesn't escape, what have you, warden type of thing. And so Strand goes there, Sherry goes there. You got Dwight as well. So you just have so many, even Althea's in here too. So you have basically the whole Fear crew in one episode, and man, it ends up being really great stuff. Okay, so then we get to kind of the later parts of this here where Strand and the others demand. They said they're going to come in. It's going to be a brutal shootout among somewhat allies here, depending. You have Dwight and Sherry sort of like on opposite sides here. You have Strand, you have Alicia, again on opposite sides. But they're going to come in and they're going to get Virginia. So Morgan makes a decision to bring Virginia out and to do a show in front of them. And they kind of make a deal to get, is it Grace and Daniel back or whatever. They make a deal to get the people back that her people had taken in order for a quick death, I guess, and for Morgan to be the one to wield the executioner's blade. In what is a very scary and kind of brutal scene in which you have Morgan almost going into clear state and chopping Virginia's head off against a rock in true off with her head type of we're talking old school, like the guillotines, like old school, right? Keep everybody in line the old-fashioned way. So, which luckily we don't really do anymore. Not really, a little bit, but it's kind of it's not so bad. Just give her a bullet or something, it'd be easier, right? So Morgan goes to do it, but he hesitates and he can't do it, and she's like yelling to egg him on to try to get him to kill her so that Dakota can be whatever, and he can't do it. And then so we get sort of a similar type of deal here that we saw with Rick and Negan, except with Morgan and Virginia. So you have kind of, Rick won't kill Negan because he wants to set a message to the others. Morgan follows suit in this one. And Morgan doesn't kill Virginia and convinces them all to allow her to just live, so he doesn't have to go into clear mode and set that precedent, set that example of the death penalty for Virginia. So seemingly everything seems okay as far as that goes. You have everybody say, okay, fine, whatever. You have kind of some reunions here. We have kind of a face-to-face reunion between Sherry and Dwight, where surprisingly Sherry decides that her and Dwight may be the past, and she wants to kind of put that behind her. So she's going back with her group that she's a part of now, and it sounds like they're not going to. Maybe they're not going to still be married, or they're not going to be a thing anymore. You have Alicia and Strand, where Strand for now is not going to join Morgan's group and Alicia's group. He's going to leave for now and go back to maybe Lawton, what have you. And then later on, maybe they'll be, what can you say, friends or whatever. Maybe like a fatherly figure for Alicia is Strand. She's grown up and everything, but you get what I'm saying. So something along those lines, right? So we'll see what happens with that in the future. But we do get the sense, I get the sense that they're going to be fine, but I get the sense that Dwight and Sherry are not going to be. At least it doesn't seem like it to me, unless they just have this on and off again type of weird thing. There was the Negan thing and all that. So Sherry and Dwight maybe not going to work out. I did like the scene with Grace and Morgan, and Grace thinks it's going to be a boy, so that's very cool. I know there's a lot of fan theories about it was Dwayne, right, who I see red and I do it. So I believe Dwayne is supposed to be dead. Now, could they go back on that and change that? Well, I guess they could, but. So Grace is gonna have a son, so then he can, maybe be father for that kind of thing. So even though it's not biologically his, but that's fine, whatever. It's a zombie apocalypse, and people gotta take care of each other, what have you. Be like an Aaron situation with Gracie, right? Aaron and Gracie, yeah. Except in this case, there'll be a mother there. So, okay, so now we get to kind of the best parts of the episode, because I was thinking this might happen. Now this is the big spoiler part, right? Which is that you have kind of a scene between June and Virginia and Dakota, and Alicia and the others say, okay, go ahead, fine. They're going to release them and let them go off together, mother and daughter, and do whatever. And so you have a scene where Virginia tells Dakota that she's her mother and everything, not her sister, so you get all that. And so it's what it is. Dakota's pretty messed up. She's not quite right, and Virginia never was either. But it's what you have. So now June has saved Virginia's life twice, I guess. And so June wants to have, so you have kind of a split between them, and you have Virginia go into a separate section, Dakota kind of be out of there. June goes to help Virginia and helps her one more time here, patches her up, what have you, but is asking her questions, wants to know if she knew about what was going to happen here, and it goes back to June having had a daughter. Rose was her name, and I do kind of remember this before, because that would have been back when she was introduced. We found out sort of about this when she had the different names and whatnot. She was giving fake names and what have you. And she basically sacrificed everything to save Rose, and now you see Virginia doing a similar kind of thing for Dakota. And so at this point, June just ain't having it. So we get a pretty surprising scene where June takes John's gun and just simply points it towards Virginia. Virginia tries to talk her way out of it, and even though she's kind of been able to this whole episode, this whole time, and no one has pulled the trigger and finalized it, hell hath no fury, and June quickly pulls the trigger and blows Virginia's freaking head off. That's freaking awesome. Because I would like Virginia. I don't like her. Yes, I feel even worse for Dakota, because she is just going to be all kinds of effed up now. Like to the highest degree ever of anybody ever. She's going to be like a female comic book Carl, but even worse. She's going to be like the worst than Charlie, whatever. It's just like she's going to be, because Charlie seems okay now. She seems fine, right? So she's been rehabbed and everything, and she sounds good. But Dakota, I just like, there's probably no hope for her now. So anyway, it was sick, dude. Awesome episode. Sweet Western style episode. June walks away like she doesn't give an F. She's got John's hat, and I'm like, damn, man, that is some sick shit. Everybody's looking at her like, what did she just do? And she just walks out cool as a cucumber, and nobody says shit. Like, oh, shit. She just blew her damn head off. What? She saved her, so I guess maybe she felt like, because of John and what have you, it was hers to take, considering she had kept her together and already saved her a couple of times now. So, I guess she decided she wasn't going to allow that to pass, and that justice be done and everything, and blames her for creating what she did with Dakota and for what Dakota did in her knowing, or at least June not being convinced, that Virginia didn't know the kind of monster that Dakota was. And, she knew, but yet she still did what she did anyway and protected her and everything else when she knew that Dakota wasn't quite right and that it was going to hurt others. So, justice be done, I suppose. So, freaking awesome episode. Loved the way it ended everything. Happy to see Virginia's gun, because I don't really like Virginia, never really did. And very interested to see what they're going to do with the rest of the season now, because I thought that this story arc would probably continue to the end of this season, and then we would see this episode at the very end of the season. But it turns out that no, that's not the case. We get to see it now. It's incredible. And then what will they do with the rest of the season? I don't know. But if this was shot post, shutdown and everything, I think it was. Pretty sure it was. It turned out amazing. Definitely much better than most of the original Walking Dead episodes in the bonus section, where none of it felt right. This episode had lots of characters in it, lots of cast in it. It was incredible. I don't know how they filmed this post whatever, but unless they filmed it before some, I don't think they did. So I don't know how exactly that worked out, but it does give me hope for the rest of the episodes of this season if they turn out anywhere close to as good as this one is, then this is going to be the best season of Fear ever, no doubt, if it's not already. Maybe already it is the best season of Fear ever. I guess it depends what you think. Maybe it is. Season 3 to beat. Has it beaten Season 3 now? I guess so, maybe. But it also gives me hope for the last season of Walking Dead with Season 11, because if they can do anything close to what this was, then it'll be fine. So 10 out of 10, perfect episode as far as I'm concerned. It was just over the top for what we expect from Fear. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was incredible for June, because she is now a major star, I think, in Fear because of what happened with John and everything, and Dakota as well too, but in the opposite way as a villain, and one to definitely watch in the future here. It was just a sick episode, man. Absolutely sick. So let me know what you guys thought. If you got a chance to see it, leave your comments below. If you haven't seen it, don't skip this one. I know some of you guys like to skip, a lot of the episodes of Fear. Watch this one. Don't skip it. You're going to love it. It's great stuff, and I loved it. Anyway, comments below. See you guys back in soon for another video. Live stream this Sunday night. As per usual, guys. Got to do it. We got to do it. And I'll see you again soon for another video. As always, this is Trev. I'm saying peace later, guys. See you soon.